When we first met a handful of years ago, I remember you were talking through this idea of tracking shoes.
Mhm.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah. A lot of other things I'm working on with other teams, other amazing innovators out there. The one that I use the most, you heard I'm very specific. I use the word challenge, and I like to divide and conquer a lot of these things. That's my approach. Okay. Sometimes it's not as easy, but I use that one example because that's a common one. People who are at risk of getting lost and going missing who live with dementia. There are stats out there, there are numbers, some will say 6 out of 10. To me, all that matters is you're the person you're caring for. The odds of them, they have a higher risk that 50-50. Flip a coin, somewhere in the journey, they're gonna get lost. It could be a small one where, "Hey, I couldn't find my place in the mall." You couldn't find them for a while. That's an incident for me, okay? Or it could be that one incident where I know enough, like at least 4 or 5 families where it ended up in tragedy, okay? That's me personally, and at least 2 of them, it was their very first time, right? So, that it happened. Many times you'll get another chance at it, and you start realizing, "Hey, this is happening again and again." So my dad used to go. So that's one example. How do we deal with people at risk of going missing when they're out in the community? So one of the companies that approached me, it's a Canadian company called WeTrack, WeTraq. Okay, so WeTrack and the founder, Ishan, he was dealing with it personally as well with an aunt that was going missing. And he approached me saying, "Yeah, we have this GPS device, we're working on it." And I said, "Well, if you take it to a few other levels, I'll see whether I'm going to collaborate with you because sometimes there's a lot of innovators that just can talk something, but they can't really execute or they're not really listening, okay, to how to really solve for the community that they need to serve." Ishan listened to everything I suggested. He even talked to other people. And then I said, a lot of people aren't going to wear it or they're going to take it off their wrists. It's fine that we have those solutions, but they're out there. The one I said, you know what? It'd be great if it was in the shoe or in the sole because everyone always puts on their shoe majority of the time. Not always, but there's a higher chance. Okay. He came back to me one day say, "Hey, we're working now on that insole you asked for, and that shoe, with all that stuff." So it's an insole. It's not going in it's not a shoe itself. It's an insole. There are others out there, but this is it's at a different level. Now it's can locate with different technologies. So I don't want to get technical in the crowd here. But the one that I got excited about, which I joked about, but every time I joked about something, he actually moved it forward. I said, be nice that it could be wirelessly charged, that someone doesn't have to plug it in. Well, technically, yeah. Right now, you could put it on the shoe with the insole in there on a mat and it'll charge. Okay. Wirelessly charging, like you can wirelessly charge a phone. So you can just put it on there. Uh, Before I forget, it's not on the market yet. Okay, we're getting there. Okay, there's some MVPs out there being tested and piloted here and there, but not on the market yet. Could be later this year, but just to let the crowd know, not the first half of 2026. And then I said, huh, you know what? There's the other challenge when someone might be out and about. You didn't hear this one there, Andy, yet. You just, I think, knew a tracking shoe kind of thing. And I said, I always want a backup. Okay. I talk about backups all the time, not just for technology, but even who's Ron's backup if Ron's traveling and I'm worried about my mom and my dad. Backup on that, backup on technology. Okay. I hear enough stories where we forgot to charge the device. Okay. Person was found deceased who got lost, who went missing from a long-term care from their home. Okay. And they passed away because it wasn't charged and, or the battery died. So the cool technology that was added to this is something called RF harvesting, radio frequency harvesting. Pretty much it could quietly charge very slowly with Wi-Fi signals and cell phone towers. So someone could be out and about and it's charging. Now it's so slow. Okay. I'm going to go exaggerate here. It might even take more than a day to get 1%. Okay. That's what we're still testing out. Okay. But that gives us hope. All that matters is that 1%. If someone's missing now 2 days, if they can hang out in a coffee shop or in a mall or something where the signal will pick up and then it powers on for 1%, that's all we need. So that is the perfect case example of this technology being used. So, anyways, that's one of the solutions that I'm working on with WeTrack that we're collaborating with.